So people argue that two things are going to happen here. First is that if you, as you give these things more and more compute, they suddenly figure out general algorithms. So when you're telling it to add numbers, at first it's just memorizing the tables, but eventually at some point it builds a circuit or makes the jump and builds an internal circuit or derives an internal circuit for a basic addition. And from then on it can add two-digit numbers, then it figures out three-digit numbers, and so on and so forth. So they point to these emergent jumps that are not programmed in as an example of how it can get smarter and have better understanding. The other is that once you make it multimodal, you start adding in video and tactile feedback from the world, and you put it in a robot, then it'll start understanding context. And so isn't this how human babies learn, for example? Isn't this how we kind of pick things up in the environment, and therefore isn't it just going through its own version of the same process, but perhaps more data heavy?
I think it's precisely not how human babies learn. I mean, human beings pick up the meaning. So they don't, so, okay, when I say human beings, people have noted that the way it does maths is very like the way students who don't get it do maths, except it's got more compute power. So yeah, as you said, it might be able to pick up easily how to add one-digit numbers, and then slightly more difficulty, two-digit numbers. In the same way, students who are given maths tests, if they do lots of practice, they can get to have a feel of what maths tests are like. But they don't learn any maths that way. One component of what learning maths really is. It's not learning to execute an algorithm, and it's certainly not learning how to execute the four-digit algorithm knowing 1, 2, and 3. That, you know, the more you go on like that, of course, the more futile it gets, because you more and more rarely need to multiply 7-digit, 8-digit numbers. And never does it know what multiplication is. I mean, you can ask it; it'll give you a sort of encyclopedia definition of what it is. And if you then tell it, well, do that, it won't do it, unless you unless you tell it in a different way. You've got to explain what it is to do. So, you know, if they prove the Riemann conjecture, then I'm wrong. I think they won't prove the Riemann conjecture or anything like it, but they may do amazing things in the course of trying.